directors of admission here at Chapman. I've been with Chapman for quite a while. I think I'm entering my 9th cycle in the admission office, which is nuts. But I also did my undergrad and my graduate studies here. I help out students that are in the Pacific Northwest, so Oregon, Washington, Montana, Idaho, and Alaska. I gotta make sure I get all 5 of those states. Can't leave anybody out. And I've got a brand new co-host with me. I'm so excited. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Jamie Garcia. I'm an admission counselor here at Chapman. I am also an alum of the institution, but a little bit more recently. I've been working in our office since 2019, and I absolutely love it. I primarily work with students from San Mateo County, northern San Diego County, some select Irvine schools, as well as the entire state of Texas. So if that is you, you're working with me. And yeah, I'm really excited for my first Facebook Live.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a great time. Essentially, here's what we're gonna do. We've got some like common FAQs about the application process. What does it involve? How do I know where to apply? All of that good stuff. We'll get to those really quickly, and we'll just kind of take you through a quick walkthrough. And then if you all have any questions that you want us to answer live, go ahead and leave them down below in a comment. I believe we're on Facebook and on YouTube, so like either way, get your questions in. We'll be able to see them. I've got my handy little tablet here, so I'll be able to see your questions. I do want to remind you this is a Facebook Live solely about applying to Chapman for either the spring of 2022 or the fall of 2022, right? If you're a current student or I should say an incoming student that's going to be coming literally next week to campus for fall of 2021, those questions aren't for this time period. So if you have those types of questions, go ahead and email our office or your specific counselor that's in our office. I do want to address kind of the first question that everybody has been asking. Is Chapman remote? Is it in person? Is it hybrid? What does it look like? And the answer right now is that we are here. We are in person. We don't have anything that's remote. All of our classes are going to be in person for the fall. We're going to continue to monitor, right? That's something that we've learned throughout the last, year and a half that we've been doing this. We just need to monitor. We need to see what's going on, and then we can make those adjustments as necessary. We want to keep our Chapman community, staff, students, faculty, all safe and sound. So we'll give you some updates. But for folks that are looking at visiting, there's a few different options that you can go through. We do have in-person tours available right now. We have some virtual campus tours, virtual department offerings. I know Dodge College has some that's going to be up. The Keck Center, our School of Engineering, those will be up. And then we also have a really big event. I almost called it an event week. It's like an event 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a long time. Discover Chapman events. Those are going to be coming to you as well in early November. We can kind of walk through what that stuff kind of looks like a little bit later, but for right now, no. There's a ton of different options that you can actually experience what Chapman is like, either in person or virtually just through your computer. So keep that in mind. I think one of the other questions that we usually get that I'm going to have you go into, first year application versus transfer application. How do you know which one to do?
Absolutely. So if you are a student that has graduated high school or is going to graduate high school and then go straight into attending Chapman, you would be applying as a first year student. A transfer student is someone that has taken any form of college work after their graduation date. So if you did dual enrollment while taking high school courses and taking some college classes, totally fine, you can still apply as a first year student. But after graduation date, if you've taken college courses, apply as a transfer. And we have amazing transfer counselors that can help walk you through the process of applying as a transfer student. So definitely get in contact with them.
Yeah, if you have any questions, and if you're like, I'm still a little confused, I took this one class and it was in the summer, I hadn't formally graduated, but the class was going, like, email our office, send us an email, we'll be able to help you out and let you know, hey, here's the right path that you want to go down. For all of our first year students, for right now, I want to talk first year applicants. We're going to walk through some of those big deadlines that are going to be coming up, okay? There's two main ones, November 1st, which is early action and early decision, and then regular decision, which is January 15th. I'll cover the early ones, and then I'll toss over the rest of them to you.
Beautiful.
So early action and early decision, first and foremost, those are two separate forms of the same deadline, right? Early action is going to be non-binding. That means that you are applying earlier, you get to hear back a little bit earlier, and then you have that time, if you hear back in mid-December, you have until May 1st to ultimately make your final decision. And that decision can be, yes, I'm going to attend, or no, I'm going to be attending this other school instead. So you get a lot of time on the back end with your decision to say, is this going to be the right fit for me? Is this the right option? I still have questions. I want to go through this. With early decision, it is a binding agreement. You are saying, if I am admitted through early decision, then I'm committed. I'm going to be coming to Chapman. So I think it's a really good deadline for folks that have no questions that they want answered, whether that's about campus, student life, financial aid, move-in, what classes are like. I mean, if those questions don't exist for you or it doesn't matter, you already know, like, Chapman's where I want to be, it doesn't matter what's going to come of it, then early decision is going to be a great one. Think of it this way. Early decision, you've already made your decision, right? You want to come to Chapman and nothing's going to stop you. Early action, you're just going to take an action to say, hey, I want to come to Chapman, but I'm going to have some questions afterward. So try to think of it in that way. And then we also have some priority deadline programs on a priority deadline.
Yes.
I'm going to let you take that.
Okay, great. I hope I can get them all. But if you are interested in applying into film production, screen acting, theater performance, dance, or our pharmacy freshman early assurance program,
Boom.
is that all of them?
You got it.
Great. If you are interested in any of those 5 programs, please, please, please submit your application by November 1st. If you are interested in a program that has a creative supplement, which we'll talk about in a little bit, make sure those materials are in by November 1st as well. That is just because these programs tend to be competitive programs, but also have a longer review process, whether that be with auditions, reviewing films, something like that. So we just want to make sure that we are able to give them the proper look over and the proper review before making our decisions. So that's just something to be aware of if you're interested in those programs.
Totally. And then regular decision, obviously, it's a later deadline. It's not until January 15th. You hear back in about early to mid March on that timeline, and then you have until May 1. So you can see there's only like a month and a half in there that you get to sit with your decision if you are admitted to Chapman under regular decision. So keep that in mind as you go through this. I would say that a lot of our counseling staff would recommend early action as the way to go. I think it's the easiest one for a lot of reasons, right? You're getting your application done and out of the way early. You hear back from us on an early timeline. You get the most time on the back end to figure out, okay, what do the finances look like? Who do I need to talk to? What questions do I have that I need to get answered? You can do all of that until May 1st, and then you can say yes or no. Here's my decision that I've made. So that's what I would recommend. I think early action makes the most sense for a lot of students.
Absolutely. And when it comes to a couple of those priority programs as well, in terms of when you're going to hear back, just so that no one's sitting at their computer waiting and they're not hearing back yet, some of our programs, specifically film production, our film production students do not hear back until typically mid-February, I believe. And again, that's because it does have a pretty lengthy review process. And then other programs like screen acting or theater performance and dance, because of the audition process, sometimes our students, even if they're applying early action or early decision, are not getting their audition or are not doing their auditions until January or February. So then your response from us may come a little later because of that, and it is not a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of.
Yeah, I like to think of it anything that has especially an audition piece to it. I think that's the big one. It's going to be more on a rolling basis, right? We need to make sure that we have everything lined up on our end, that you also have your audition that's scheduled, and we have the time frame to actually get your decision out. So keep that in mind. I think that's a good way to put it for sure. I do want to remind, so for our transfer students, we do have 2 deadlines as well. If you're looking at applying for the spring term as a transfer student or as a first-year student for the spring, that deadline is going to be October 15th. And then if you're looking at coming in for the fall, your deadline is going to be February 15th. So keep those in mind as well as we go through this. As we talk about the application, the process itself is very similar, whether you're a first-year student or a transfer student. There's some differences on the questions there, but for the most part, it's going to be the same process. It's just those dates that you really have to abide by. I do want to add really quickly that for our transfer students that are looking at applying for the spring, there are some specific programs that you will not be able to apply to. They are only for our students that are coming in the fall. So keep that in mind too. Our film production program, screen acting, and theater performance programs. If you are a transfer student, right, and Jamie said it, If you have taken college work after your high school graduation and you are thinking about doing those programs, film production, screen acting, theater for performance, that's going to be a fall application that you want to put in. You're not going to be able to do it on your spring application. So keep that in mind as well. I do want to go over kind of the application and just how to apply in general. Do you want to talk about maybe the common application itself and what is involved on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So Chapman is located on the Common Application. The Common App is pretty common, hence the name.
Crazy, right?
I know, wild. So you might have a variety of different schools on the Common Application, but through the Common App, you're going to give just kind of a lot of your basic information: name, birthday, where you are coming from,
Yeah.
all that good stuff, as well as your personal statement. So that's going to follow one of the 4 or 5 prompts, I think.
I feel like they have 7 now. It's lengthy. There's a lot of different options.
Well, read through
A
those
lot.
prompt options, choose the one that resonates the best with you, and you'll give us that answer. There will also be questions about if COVID has had like a large effect on you in the past. I mean, it's had a large effect on everyone, but extenuating circumstances in the past year and a half or so. So just being open and honest with your admission counselors is definitely important on that. And then for the Chapman application, do you want to talk about the Chapman app?
You keep going.
Oh, wonderful.
You got it. You got it.
So when you are applying to Chapman, we also do have Chapman supplemental questions on there as well. So we have questions about why are you interested in attending Chapman? Why are you interested in your major? We have questions about diversity and inclusion on there as well. And then we do have our Chapman fast fact questions, which are my favorite part.
They're so great.
They're so fun. Questions like, if you were to make the admission committee a meal, what would you make us? Or what song should we listen to while reviewing your application? Just some really fun questions. Don't stress out about them. Have fun. I promise, if we do not like your song choice, it won't affect your admission decision.
Totally.
But I will say, I'm not a huge fan of country music, so keep that in mind.
I'm a fan of country music.
Oh,
Give me the country
gosh.
music. I'll take it. My music taste is just like sound. It doesn't matter.
Anything.
It's got a good beat, a rhythm. If I could like move my head to it,
Okay.
I'm into it.
Good to know.
That's a total tangent. So outside of the common application, you'll have all of the main portion, the Chapman specific portion. Then if you're applying to a talent-based program, something within usually the creative arts, right? So dance, music, theater, anything in Dodge College of Film and Media Arts and art and graphic design, they're gonna have what we call the creative supplement as well. Now, keep this in mind. You do not get access to this until you submit your common application. That's so important. I can't tell you how many times I've had students email me like, it's November 1st, I submitted, where's my creative stuff? It's gonna take a day afterwards. So give yourself the peace of mind, submit your applications a few days before the deadline. That way you have time to upload your materials. Now the creative supplement's gonna look different based on the major that you apply to, right? Film production, you're gonna upload a short video. Graphic design, you're putting together a portfolio. Dance and music, you're doing an audition. It's dependent on the major that you come in as. All the requirements are online. I mean, you can go to, we have a main how to apply page that'll walk you through the common application and application tips page that gives you an idea of what we're looking for, which is essentially just like be yourself, we'll talk about it. And then there's a creative supplement page for each of those majors. So you can prepare what you want to upload, but give yourself the time to actually have that uploaded by the deadline that you need to upload it. So keep that in mind. I do want to, and that kind of brings me to the main question that we always get asked: how can I make my application stand out? What are you looking for in the essay and the Chapman supplements and whatnot? And I think truly all of our counselors would have a different piece of advice for students, because there really isn't one way to make your application great. Do you want to do your piece of advice first? Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
I'll go first.
Absolutely.
Give them a little time to think about it.
Yeah.
So my biggest piece of advice to students, outside of just like be open, be honest, be yourself, I think that that's the main thing. It sounds super cheesy and easy to do, but you'd be surprised. A lot of students don't understand that they need to just like be themselves in the application. But my biggest one is just keep in mind that the entire application, every single thing that you are putting down in writing, submitting on a document, the creative supplement materials, everything is kind of a different piece to this puzzle that we are putting together of who you are, who you're going to be on campus, the things that you want to do. So we're trying to put that together. If you put down the same pieces over and over, we're not going to be able to put together a full puzzle of who you're going to be on our campus, right? So I give the example, if I have a business student, I know the essay is going to be about business, right? Extracurriculars are going to have some business in there. The major is about business. Maybe I get a letter of recommendation from your econ teacher. It's just business, business, business all the way through. There is so much more to do on our campus and to explore that I'm not really getting a good sense of who you would be on campus besides just in the business program, right? So think of it that way. If you've written about business in great detail in your personal statement, maybe think about different ways to kind of fold in other elements to who you are so we can get a better picture, right? We want to put together the best puzzle we can. That's my advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with everything you said. I think my two main pieces of advice are, one, obviously, yeah, be yourself, be open. Don't be afraid to have fun with your application. That's really fun for us when we're reading an application and it actually makes us laugh or actually really makes us sad or feel something. Like, just, yeah, be yourself and have a personality throughout your application. I think that really stands out to us. And then another piece of advice I always give to students is do some research on Chapman, whether that is some information maybe you got from us today or a tour you went on or just throughout the website. We see a lot of students in their Why Are You Interested in Chapman essay saying, I want to live in Southern California near Disneyland. And don't get me wrong, Disneyland is a huge perk of being in this area. But we definitely want to see some other reasons why Chapman might be interesting to you or why you might be interested, whether that is a club, an academic program, various organizations on campus, just something that really draws you in and is a reason why you think Chapman would be a great fit for you.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really crucial piece of advice. And I felt it coming too when you were like, my second piece of advice, I was like, she's going to say research. I know it, I feel it.
Yeah,
it's so important.
It
you
is.
know? It's also, yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. It's going to be helpful for you all too. You doing the research on our campus, seeing what we have, that's giving you a better idea of what your experience is going to be like here as a student. So you should be doing it anyway.
Absolutely.
Last thing that I really want to touch on before we start going into your live questions is just financial aid. Obviously, that's a really big topic. We can kind of break it down in a simpler way by going over kind of the three main forms of aid that we have, but I would recommend our website is full of these different resources, and if you have specific questions that pertain to your individual situation, come talk to your admission counselor and we can kind of help guide you on the right path. The three main areas are merit scholarships, departmental scholarships, and then need-based aid. Do you want to talk about merit scholarships a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So merit scholarships, you do not need to apply for them. There's no box to check, anything like that. Just by applying to Chapman and submitting your application, you are automatically going to be considered for it. Merit scholarship is going to be based off of your GPA as well as the rigor of your curriculum. So it is based strictly on numbers. One thing that's really nice about merit scholarship is that you will actually receive, when you receive your admission to Chapman, you will also receive your merit scholarship at the same time. So you'll already kind of have a slight idea of what you might be receiving and start kind of figuring out those finances. And our merit scholarships range from $12,000 a year to $36,000 a year. So it's a bit of a range. We do have a net cost calculator on the Chapman website where you can kind of put in your statistics from high school and see what you might be eligible for. It is important to note that is just an estimate. It does change year to year based on the applicant pool, so don't take that as fact, but it is nice to kind of get an idea of where you might fall.
Yeah. The second area that we dive into is departmental scholarships. They're mainly focused in the creative areas and in the science fields, but we also have some scholarships for journalism, creative writing, those areas too. A bulk of these aren't going to have an extra application. Again, it's the same as the merit ones, right? You're just applying to Chapman, and based on that application, you're considered for those scholarships by just listing that as your first choice major. The departments will use either your common application and or your creative supplement if it was required in your application in the first place, and they'll kind of make those determinations. It's tough to say an average amount because it changes pretty drastically year to year. Specifically, I mean, there are some programs that like it really is a pendulum that swings. But I would say on average, I would expect $1,000 to $5,000 from these programs. If you're a student that's interested in our engineering programs, we have some scholarship opportunities that go all the way up to full cost of attendance. So There are some really big opportunities within there, but if you want more information on what the department's looking for, how they determine these things, you can always reach out to them directly as well, if that's okay. And then the last little piece is all need-based aid. Do you want to take need-based aid?
Sure.
Okay.
So need-based aid is going to be determined based off of you filling out the FAFSA. The FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid.
Love it.
Through that, you are going to use your family's tax information from the prior year, so 2 years ago. And from there, it'll determine how much aid you're able to get. And this will be through grants, work study, loans.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways that you can receive aid through that. I recommend to all families to fill out the FAFSA, whether or not you think you are going to qualify. It's definitely important. It's helpful for us to see. So please fill that out. The FAFSA opens on October 2nd, I want to say.
I think so, yeah.
October 2nd. So try to get it in as soon as possible, because once you are admitted, we'll be able to start working on your financial aid packages.
Yeah, I will say too, because it's taking prior year, it's taking your taxes from 2020, so just keep that in mind as you go through.
Wow, that's wild.
It's
That we're already-
so wild to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't even get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna start diving into some of your questions that you've been putting on. I know we've been like blabbing on and on for too long. My gosh, we'll get to your questions. First, I have a daughter interested in theater. Does she have to audition as part of the application?
Yes. If she is interested in our theater performance program, there is an audition process. She will apply with her application, the creative supplement. She will perform, I believe, 2 monologues as like a pre-screen, and then maybe invited to campus for an in-person audition as well.
There you go. Do students whose applications are early action or early decision have more weight than a regular application? The short answer is no. We're looking at every application kind of in the same way, right? We're evaluating you on your own terms based in your school environment, in your home environment, where you're coming from, what are you bringing with you, what do you want to do when you're on campus, and whether you're applying early action or regular decision, that's not going to affect our review of who you are, right? I think the thing that kind of trips students up is you have to think about it this way. If you're applying early action, you are the first group applying for admission. So you have first access to not only a spot on campus, but merit scholarships, financial aid, everything like that. When you apply regular decision, there's already a group that has taken up spots and merit scholarships. So keep that in mind as you apply. Will any financial aid being offered be finalized by the early decision date?
Oh, that is a great question. So, no, it will not. And the reason for that is because the financial aid office doesn't start packaging a student's financial aid until after we have notified them that they are admitted. So for our early decision students, typically their financial aid offer will be released 2-ish weeks.
No, early decision is with it. Early action is not.
My bad.
I saw where you were going, and I was with
Yeah.
you. I was with you the whole time. I got you.
So take that back. If you apply early decision, you will get your financial aid package at the time of admission.
There you go.
Yay! For early action or for regular decision,
Yeah.
it can take 2+ weeks to receive your financial aid package.
There you go. I was truly on the train with you, and then all of a sudden I was like, wait a
wait.
minute, we're not doing this right.
Darn it.
Are the unofficial transcripts and school report form also due November 1st for early action? The short answer is no, but you should be getting those in as soon as possible. We try to think of it this way. The things that you are in charge of submitting yourself, Common Application, Creative Supplement, the things that you are hitting submit on, those are due by November 1st or January 15th. For everything else that you're requesting, I want you to request it at the latest by the deadlines, right? We know that those are under the control of other folks, and you're not going to be able to say like, hey, you have to have this in, right? You can tell them as many times as you want to, but it may take a little while. That's okay. Those can follow your application. Just make sure you're hitting submit on the Common Application and Creative Supplement by those deadlines. That's the important part. This is a fun question. What's the most popular program at Chapman?
Ooh, okay. So it definitely kind of depends on what you mean by most popular.
Yeah.
Because in terms of the most students on campus that we have, our business program, huge.
Huge.
It's very large. Their graduation is significantly longer than the other graduations on campus. But in terms of competitiveness and applications, our film production program is exceptional and super popular on campus. But I think, I hate to be this person, but all of our programs are pretty popular on campus. While those might be like the most popular, all of our programs have incredible resources put into them, and students really have great outcomes throughout their experience.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Whether you choose early action or regular decision, when would you hear about aid or scholarships? We answered that a couple weeks afterward. Are all freshmen guaranteed a spot in the dorms? Yes, so we have a 2-year housing requirement for students, at least in Chapman-based housing. So first-year students will usually get placed in our dorm areas. They're like right across the street from our campus. It kind of keeps them in a centralized location, especially being your first year on campus. You want to make sure that you're building community not only with your peers, but with everybody else on campus. So there's some specific spots there, and then into your sophomore year, you can choose more apartment style. You can live in ones. I almost think of them as like the in-between, like the Chapman Grand Apartments, Panther Village. It's off campus, but it's still Chapman-based housing, so you get some perks that it's Chapman-based housing. It's a nice like in-between. And then in your junior, senior year, you can move off campus if you want to, and that's totally dictated by you. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a big one. I hope that you're ready.
Oh gosh.
My daughter plans to double major in screenwriting and theater.
Wow.
They both require portfolios. They do.
They do.
What is the procedure for double majors? Does she only apply to one major when she applies? Is one of the two more competitive and preferable to apply if she can only apply to one? I want to break this down because there's a lot to unpack here.
Nice
Whoever wrote this question,
three-parter.
I appreciate it. First, let's talk about double majoring and when you apply, how you can like indicate double majoring, right?
Yeah.
On your application, you're only applying to a first choice major and a second choice major, right? We can only admit you to one program. Double majors, you can either apply to or mark off the program that you want to do once you're a current student on campus. So through the application, through the admission process, it's going to be one program that you actually get admitted for and come to campus as. The second choice major you don't fill out a portfolio for unless specifically requested by the department or our office. So only go off that first choice major. Second choice, you can list whatever you want to, but you don't turn in a portfolio for the second choice area. Do you want to talk about double majoring, especially when it comes to like film and theater together? That might be a good one.
Absolutely. So double majoring, not necessarily film and theater, is super common at Chapman. A lot of students do it. It's relatively easy depending on the programs that you're interested in. Some programs you just need a signature from the department, you're good to go. Others might have some prerequisite courses or an audition or creative supplement that goes along with it. So when it comes to film and theater, both of those programs, because they are arts-based programs, they have auditions or supplements that go along with it. And to be perfectly honest, double majoring in both of those programs is going to be a bit difficult, both if you are actually officially a double major, but also applying into those programs. Because once you arrive on campus as a, say, film major, you will then have to go through the audition and application process for the theater program. Both are going to be pretty content heavy. They've got large curriculums with a lot of credits going on. If that is something that you are very passionate about doing, definitely get in contact with an academic advisor when you arrive to Chapman, because they will kind of walk you through how you could make that possible, how to format your classes to get that done in 4 years. But yeah, those two are gonna be that's a doozy.
Totally. Well, and I even think, I mean, when you're talking about double majors too, the arts programs for sure, it's going to be difficult to manage both of those during your 4 years here. But even keep in mind if you're looking at some of the science degrees, bioscience, chemistry, engineering, those are also going to be really like massively credit heavy, especially because of the lab time, especially because of the actual like hands-on project learning time that you have, not to mention any internships that you take on. It's a lot to balance, you know? Students are doing 2 different programs no matter what, a major and a minor. Some students will do double majors if it's possible and if it's doable. Some will do a major and double minor. There's ways that you can like move this around as you needed to. I mean, truly, you could do a major in either screenwriting or theater and then have a minor that's in a separate area but still fulfills some type of like passion that you have, right? So there's ways to do it. Just make sure that you're talking to folks before you go into it. The talking to academic advising, I feel like, is a good way to like, they can set you up for success.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
was
important part.
huge for me when I was a student.
The last part of that question that I really just quickly want to touch on is one of the 2 more competitive and preferable to apply to if she can only apply to one major. The short answer is no, they're both going to be pretty much the same competitive level, but I also don't want you focusing on that. It shouldn't be about which program is the easiest to get into. It should be about the program that you actually want to do on campus. Here's my scenario that I always bring up. Students want to study film production. Very competitive program. They apply, say, philosophy. Less competitive program. They come to campus as a philosophy major. They start taking philosophy classes. They don't like it. It's not the program they wanted. They try to apply into film production. They can't get into that course. Now you have been on campus for an entire year taking classes that you don't enjoy, you don't have access to the program that you wanted to, so you are unhappy. That's where it leaves you. So don't think, what's the easiest way to get into Chapman? Just think, what do I actually want to do there? Because if you're not going to be able to do it anyway, it's probably not going to be something that you want. I don't know. I'm very passionate about it because I get the question so often, you know?
If you won't be happy in a different program, then don't apply to a different program.
Totally.
And that's totally fine if you want to focus on one program. So don't let that stress you out. Kind of go with your gut on that one.
Yeah.
But the like kind of around the corner back door way, not great.
Yeah,
Wouldn't recommend that.
It's a harder path in the long run, honestly. What's the average class size?
23 students per class.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Do you know the student-to-faculty ratio?
14-1.
Nice job.
Nice.
That wasn't even a question, but like,
Cool.
that was fun.
It's like a quiz.
Are SAT, ACTs required, and are they used for merit? So we are test optional. We were test optional last year, and I think it was almost 80% of students that applied test optional. Obviously, a lot of testing centers were closed. Dates got pushed back and eventually canceled. So we'll probably have more students with just access to take the test. But to be completely honest with you, it's not something that I'm super passionate about. I don't think that the tests are a great representation of who you are as a person or a student. So if you want to take the test, you go for it. I support you. If you got a great score and you're proud of it, I love that. Send it in. Why not? But know that you don't have to. They are optional. In terms of your review for merit scholarships as well, they are a really, really small part. I mean, merit scholarships, like Jamie was talking about, yes, there is an academic focus to it, but it's your application as a whole, right? It's everything that you're submitting. So test scores can be part of that conversation for sure, but they aren't going to be a very large part of that conversation. So keep that in mind. Are these questions on the Common App, or do we have to answer them elsewhere? I'm not sure if we're missing part of that question, but questions on the Common Application. Why Chapman?
Why Chapman? Why major?
Why major?
Diversity and inclusion.
Yes, which technically there's 2 questions, you pick one of them.
Yeah.
And then
Fast facts.
fast facts.
Yeah.
Those are the ones on the Common Application. I'm wondering about overnight stays. Is it possible to do this for the fall 2022 application?
So,
I know.
maybe?
I know. I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just go with no. And if something does open up, we'll let you know, and it'll be super exciting.
Yeah.
But I feel like probably not. Not in the fall for sure. Maybe in the spring, and probably a smaller population of students. So I would say our admitted students. But let's go with no, and maybe we'll surprise you and have something.
Yeah. We do have a really cool program for admitted students, though, that although you're not staying overnight, you kind of get the experience of a Chapman student. It's called Panther for a Day, where you get to sit in on a class and eat in our caf and go on a short little tour, but just with admitted students, no parents. You get to really ask the questions you're wondering. So that's a really great way to kind of get the feel of what it's like to be A Panther for a Day.
Yeah.
Hence the name.
So we have this question that kind of goes on a topic that we were talking about earlier, but it's kind of skewed in a different way, so I think it's still important. If you apply to a talent-based program or major but don't get accepted, is there still a chance of getting admitted to Chapman in general? Do you want to talk about like the second choice just process?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that might be good.
So, like Garrett mentioned earlier, you put your first choice major and your second choice major. If you are not admitted to your first choice major, we will take a look at your second choice major and see if we think you would be a good fit for that, if we think you are passionate about that, kind of where you stand in terms of that second choice major. So from there, we will then kind of come together and discuss if we think that would be a good option for you. You will know if we are going to admit you for your second choice, though.
Yeah.
If you apply art first and undecided second, you're not just going to get an acceptance letter that says, congratulations, you're undecided at Chapman.
Yeah.
So you will be asked, would you like to be considered for your second choice? You can tell us yes or no. And then from there, we will re-review your application with that second choice major in mind. So it is possible to still be admitted for your second choice major, although not guaranteed.
Yeah, I think the only point that I want to make sure is out there, we cannot admit you essentially to a program that you haven't applied to on your application.
Correct.
So if you're only applying to, say, business and you don't list a second choice, and our committee finds that business isn't going to be a good fit for you, then there's no other option. You'll likely be denied, and then trying to reapply with a different major choice would be like an appeal process or applying for a new term in the future. Keep that in mind. I love this question. Hey, this is Annika using my dad's Facebook account. Hey, Annika.
Hi.
What's up, bestie? Do you have any advice for students who are undecided but have thoughts of a major? Is it better to focus on a major rather than being undecided on applications? I love this because I consider myself like an undeclared student, you know? I came to Chapman as biology, truly, in life. I came to Chapman as biology, I switched around, I took philosophy courses, communication courses, and I just made my own program because I was so undecided. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I identify with that, you know? I get it. My advice is if you are considering 3 or more programs, if you're like, I could do business, I could do communication studies, I could do film, I could do bio, that is an undeclared mindset, and I think that you should be applying as undeclared. You want to have the time to explore those different classes to see where is my passion, what is my calling, what do I need to be focusing on, what do I enjoy the most, and then go down that path later. I don't want you starting in a program that you're going to be like, maybe not, I'm not sure, and then like try to, you know, flounder through. I think it's just a better idea, come in undeclared, be able to explore, do your thing. If you're only considering 2 programs, first choice, second choice, I think that's an easy way to go about it.
Totally.
But 3 or more, I think undeclared is like a good way to do that. And on the application, you could tell us like, I am undeclared, I'm considering these different programs because they all have some type of interest or tie into who I am in my life. That's important.
And also, it is important to note that there is no like negative connotation behind applying undecided. It is not going to reduce your chances of being admitted. We have a ton of resources on campus for our undecided students, including we do something called majors in minutes. It's like speed dating, but for majors. So there's a lot of really great resources that you can take part of that'll help you kind of find your passion.
Yeah, nice. If I take online college classes, does that make me a transfer student or a first-year student? I'm a senior this year.
That'll make you a first-year student. If you are taking college classes at the same time as taking your high school classes, you will be applying as a first-year student. We will take note of your dual enrollment classes, but yeah, you're a first year.
Yeah, easy. If I have a sibling at Chapman, would that affect my application or financial aid? I'm gonna throw that to you.
Will it affect your application? It's something we'll take a look at.
Yeah.
It's cool to see a Chapman connection on there, but it does not it's not like an automatic admit or anything.
Yeah.
And then in terms of financial aid, the only way it would affect your financial aid is through your need-based aid because your family would be noting that you had 2 dependents in college.
And have a sibling at Chapman.
Yeah. So it could affect your need-based aid in that way, but it won't affect merit, departmental, anything like that.
Yeah. Well, and even to clarify that point further, that's just if you have another sibling that's in college.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't have to be at Chapman, but in college in general, for sure. According to the financial aid calculator, I would be eligible for a significant merit scholarship. If I'm counting on merit money, would applying ED not be smart, even if Chapman is my first choice? Correct. 100% correct. And I can tell just based on the first part, according to the financial aid calculator, I would be eligible for a significant scholarship. That's not guaranteed, right? You got to remember that. It's just an estimate of what you could be awarded through the application process if you're admitted. I think the fact that you're already having that conversation in your mind means you should be applying early action. Give yourself the most amount of grace in this process. We understand that Chapman is your first choice. You are applying early still, right? You have to think of it that way. You're just not entering into that binding contract. It's okay to not do early decision. I think that's totally fair.
Absolutely.
I have two quick questions that we're going to do back to back. Are you ready?
Sure.
When do spring transfer students hear back?
Spring transfer students hear back on a rolling basis, so the
Nice.
application is due October 15th, and you hear back rolling.
Boom. Is the deadline for film production, spring 2022, over?
So our film production students are not actually able to apply for a spring term. Film production, you must start in the fall, so it is over because it doesn't exist.
Awesome. I am trying to keep an eye on time and where we're at, so I'm going to do a couple more questions, and then we'll kind of wrap this up for y'all.
Awesome.
For the Dodge College Film Production Creative Supplement visual sample, do I need to be in the film itself, or can I have someone else do the acting and I just focus on editing? You can have somebody else do the acting and you can focus on the editing. That's fine. If you want to be in it, go for it. I think that that's your prerogative. Remember, there's no dialogue that's in the film. Make sure to follow all of the, I almost call them guidelines. They're not even guidelines, they're rules. Follow the rules on what your visual supplement looks like. That's a really, really important one. Spring 2020 classes were assigned pass-fail grades instead of letter grades. So unfortunately, my AP classes were not included in my weighted GPA. Is it better to get another semester of AP classes included and apply regular decision, or early action without the AP classes for the upcoming fall semester? It's a big question.
That is a big question. We will still be weighting your AP courses, even if they were marked pass, no pass. So if
Yeah.
you passed the class, we will still be giving them the weight that we would have had you received a letter grade. So that you don't need to double up on all of your AP classes your senior year unless you really want to.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that to make up for those. We will still be able to count them.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And applying regular decision versus early action.
Oh,
Yeah, your call.
yeah,
You go for what feels right to you.
totally.
But yeah, know that we're weighting your AP classes.
Mhm.
That's important. Oh my gosh. My daughter wanted to apply to Dodge, but also early action, early decision.
Mhm.
Will she know if she's accepted by the early dates, or is that not possible because the application will take longer to review?
Depends
Film
on the,
production.
for film production specifically.
Oh, no, it is just Dodge. You were right. I was wrong. You were
you.
right. Good job.
Depends on the program. So film production, like I mentioned earlier, the application or the results, decisions. Wow, the decisions are released typically in mid-February. But for other programs within Dodge, if you are applying early, you will typically hear back early. So that's mid-December.
Nice. I want to do one reminder because we're going to start wrapping up here. If we didn't get to your questions, we will be able to answer them on our Facebook page or on the YouTube page. We'll be able to get to them. If it's a really important question to you, I would also just email your counselor. That way you can also start a dialogue with us and know that
Totally.
we're not scary people. We're super cool. We're fun.
Obviously.
I mean, look at us, obviously. So I want to wrap up really quickly with just some reminders about events that are going to be happening in the fall. Like I mentioned before, Discover Chapman Events, DCE, is going to be happening November 8th through November 13th. Oh, maybe it is just 1 week. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I
Wow.
was wrong. I was wrong. November 8th through November 13th. I don't know what that accent was. So keep an eye out for that. Definitely follow us on all of our socials. Obviously, you've got Facebook and or YouTube right now, but go to Instagram. We also have a TikTok page. I think it's like pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Make sure to follow us there. It's at Chapman U. We also have one for our Dodge College. It's just at Dodge College. So follow us up there. You can see me again. I'm going to be doing my Instagram live shows, Garrett's Guide. It's going to be so great. I think we're starting in October, and it'll be every other Wednesday. And it's also going to be Survivor Wednesdays this fall now. So like, it's going to be such
He might be wearing a buff. We'll
Oh my
see.
God, I'm going to go all out.
But also, our Instagram is
oh, yeah.
at Chapman Admission,
Thank you.
or else you're not going to be able to watch Garrett's Guide.
Nice
At
one,
Chapman
nice
Admission,
one.
not admissions with an S, no S.
There you go. And then this fall, we do have some of our counseling staff that's going to be traveling around the country, potentially visiting high schools, maybe doing college fairs. You'll get an email about it. If you aren't signed up for our email list, highly, highly recommend to do that. It'll give you updates not only about like Chapman as a whole, but what we're doing, application status, all this good stuff that's like really needed information for you. So make sure to just go to the Chapman website and just hit the request info button. You'll be good to go. Last minute resources, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube right now. If you're watching on our Facebook page, like it if you haven't already. I don't know why you wouldn't have liked it, but I feel like you should like it. That makes sense. We've got some different highlights on our Instagram, again, at Chapman Admission. Ones that are like an FAQ, there's ones that are about applying. So take a look through those because that can get you some quick answers if you needed them. And then truly, if you have any questions at all, come to us. Come email your counselor. If you go to the Chapman page and type meet your counselor, it'll pull up our beautiful faces. It'll go over territories. There's a bio for us on, you know, our favorite Chapman memory or application advice. Take a look through those because that's got some good stuff in there. But yeah, I hope that this was really helpful. Do you have any last minute things that you wanted to add?
I don't think so. This was just a great first Chapman
I know.
Facebook Live. Thank you for
did so
being
well.
here.
You did so well. It was
Thank
so
you so
fun.
much.
I had a good time. I hope you had a good time. I know you had a good time.
Had a blast.
But we'll catch you guys later. Instagram, Garrett's Guide. It's in October, so make sure to check that out. But we'll see you guys soon, okay?
Bye, everyone.